Almost 2 weeks, hundreds of airstrikes, a fallen supreme leader, destroyed nuclear facilities, smashed command structures of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. It would seem the Iranian regime should be on the brink of total collapse. The entire world held its breath, waiting for Tehran to fall. But on March 12, 2026, Reuters published what many in Washington and Tel Aviv did not want to admit aloud. American intelligence has prepared a secret report that changes everything. Intelligence believes that the Iranian government is not subject to collapse. The regime is alive. The regime rules. The regime maintains control. This is not just another intelligence report. This is an admission of failure for one of the key bets of this war. Today, we will break down exactly what the intelligence said, why this became possible, and what it means for the further course of the conflict. We have studied all 5 pages of this document. According to Reuters, American intelligence has prepared a whole series of independent analytical documents. The conclusion in all of them coincides. The regime in Tehran is not in danger of collapse. The freshest of these reports was prepared literally in the last few days, taking into account all recent strikes. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence and the CIA officially refused to comment. The White House did not respond to the request. All 3 Reuters sources spoke on condition of strict anonymity. But this is not just an American assessment. Israeli officials in closed-door talks admit the same reality. Illusions are gone. Recognizing the regime's resilience is particularly significant, as its overthrow was called one of the main goals of Operation Epic Fury. Trump, on the very first day, called on Iranians to take power into their own hands. Now, intelligence says this will not happen. Why did the system turn out to be so strong? Let's analyze the structure of power. The key conclusion of intelligence: the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the temporary leaders who came after the death of Ali Khamenei maintain full control. The assassination of the leader did not decapitate the system. For decades, the IRGC was built as a self-sufficient structure capable of operating in autonomous mode. This is not just an army, it is a state within a state. They have their own economy, their own intelligence, and command chains that duplicate each other. Destroying one node does not mean stopping the system. It is flexible, it is adapted to sanctions, and it knows how to survive in isolation. This is the foundation of their resilience. One of the CIA's secret bets was to arm Iranian Kurdish groups to spark an uprising inside the country. New intelligence showed that this plan also failed. These groups have neither the firepower nor the numbers to confront Iran's security apparatus. They were easily localized and suppressed. There is no strength for an uprising. Reuters reports that Kurdish groups have reached out to officials in Washington asking for heavy weapons and armored vehicles. However, Trump stated that he excludes direct support for these forces inside Iran. Without external help, their chances of success are 0. This is another lost card in this game. Khamenei's death could have been a disorganizing blow, but it was not. The succession system worked faster than Washington expected. A new leader has been elected, television is working, mosques are open, bazaars are trading. External signs of statehood are fully preserved. The regime is not collapsing, it is adapting. According to analysts, a real overthrow of power in Iran will require a large-scale ground operation. Airstrikes, no matter how intense they may be, do not lead to regime change if the regime itself does not lose the will to resist. History teaches us this through many bitter examples. Remember Serbia, Iraq, and Libya. Only in the case of a ground operation will the population be able to safely take to the streets for mass protests, while the security structures are paralyzed by real combat operations. But the price of such an operation would be catastrophic. This means tens of thousands of lives and trillions of dollars. And even that does not guarantee success. U.S. intelligence understands this. Back on March 7th, the Washington Post reported the existence of a secret report by the National Intelligence Council. Its conclusion was even tougher. Even a large-scale U.S. offensive is unlikely to allow the displacement of Iran's entrenched military clerical establishment. This is a sober assessment against the backdrop of politicians' statements. The failure is obvious. The Trump administration is at a crossroads. On one hand, the promise to see the operation through to the end. On the other, economic reality. The war is already costing the U.S. colossal sums. The first week cost $11 billion. And oil prices are breaking records, exceeding $120 per barrel. This is a blow to the global economy. That is why Trump is increasingly talking about ending the war in the near future. This is not an admission of defeat, it is a reaction to the economic meter that is not ticking in the White House's favor. Getting out of the war with a decent result is extremely difficult if the regime stood firm. Negotiations have reached a deadlock. Iranian hawks will not accept U.S. terms. Mojtaba Khamenei has promised vengeance and a continued blockade of Hormuz. This is a noose around the neck of the global economy. The International Energy Agency has released 400 million barrels of oil, but this is only a temporary measure. If the strait remains closed for another 2 weeks, global reserves will begin to critically deplete. We are on the edge of the abyss. The clock is ticking. So, the 13th day of the war, Iran stood its ground. Despite 900 strikes, the regime controls the country. Regime change from the air has turned out to be a myth. For Trump, this is a dilemma. Continue a war without a goal or stop and explain why it all started. Neither side sees a way out of this not yet. Stalemate. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. Time is running out. We will follow every step. Stay tuned for updates on our channel. This was a special report. Thank you for being with us. Stay informed on world-scale events. Until next time. End of recording. End of communication. Take care of yourselves in these turbulent times. Goodbye. The Iranian game continues. We are waiting for news. To understand the regime's resilience, one must look deeper into the structure of the Guard Corps. They are not just military. They are the owners of Iran's largest factories, banks, and ports. Decades under sanctions have taught them to survive and thrive in complete isolation from Western financial systems. They have created a parallel state. It is impossible to destroy it with missiles. The count goes by years. The succession system and command chains duplicate each other. If one leader dies, another, already prepared, instantly takes his place. It is a survival machine. Even after 900 strikes, their production base in underground bunkers remains almost untouched. Iran has been preparing for this war for decades. They know how to wait, they know how to endure, and they know the price of every day. The score is not in our favor. The geopolitical situation also works against Washington. Support from Moscow and Beijing allows Tehran to bypass the naval blockade. Supplies go through the Caspian Sea and land corridors. The economic consequences are already causing protests in Western capitals. Rising energy prices are hitting political stability in Europe itself. Pressure on the Trump administration is growing every hour. Will there be a way out? We don't know. The clock is ticking. What's next? Any negotiations at the current stage will mean factual recognition of Iran's victory. This is a real geopolitical zugzwang for the United States. Diplomatic channels through Oman and Qatar remain the only thread, but the conditions of the parties are still absolutely incompatible with reality. The world is frozen in a dangerous pause. We've analyzed all aspects of Day 13. The intrigue remains. We'll follow the situation. Until tomorrow, we're waiting for news. Take care. Until next time. Subscribe so you don't miss our detailed report for the 14th day of the war. We will follow every step and every document. End of communication. Take care of yourself and your loved ones in these extremely turbulent times. Thank you for choosing our channel for analytics. See you tomorrow at the same time. We will return with new data. Be ready. The world is changing before our eyes. End of recording. Goodbye. Thank you. Dior Uke was on the line. Until next time. End of broadcast. This was a special report. Operational analytics specifically for our channel. We analyze facts, not emotions. Stay with us for exclusive updates. End of recording. End of communication. We will be back with new facts tomorrow. The Iranian game continues. Stay informed. Thank you for your attention. Until tomorrow. End of report. We are watching the world. On the line. Goodbye. End of recording. Thank you. End of communication. Until we meet again on air. The end. Historical skepticism is added to the criticism of intelligence. 2003 taught the world assessments can be wrong. But today, U.S. intelligence is surprisingly sober in its forecasts. This scares the Allies most of all. The past teaches, but it does not always save from mistakes in the present. We see the similarity, but we also see critical differences. The price of an error is a global catastrophe. The clock is ticking. We are waiting for news. Until tomorrow. End of recording. Thank you. On the line. Goodbye. End of broadcast. We will be here. See you. The end. We talk about geopolitics and economics, but behind every figure are human lives. The flows of refugees to Turkey and Iraq are growing by the hour. A humanitarian catastrophe becomes inevitable if the war is not stopped by diplomatic means. The world is paying a huge price for the mistakes of its leaders every day, and this price is grown. We must not forget this. We will follow the humanitarian situation. Take care. See you in the next episode. Thank you. End of communication. Until tomorrow, we'll be back on the line. Goodbye. The end. The Iranian game continues. For now, there is a stalemate on the board. No one can win, but no one wants to give in. Tomorrow will be a new day, new reports, and perhaps new decisions. We will be here to tell you the truth. We are waiting for the 14th day of the war. Together with you until tomorrow. End of recording. Thank you for your attention. Your host was on the line. Take care. Goodbye. End of broadcast. We'll be back tomorrow. See you. The end. Information sources: U.S. intelligence, Reuters and Washington Post reports. Operational analytics specifically for our channel. Stay informed about world-scale events. End of recording. Thank you for your attention. Until tomorrow. End of report. We are watching the world. On the line. Goodbye. End of recording. Thank you. End of communication. Until we meet again. The end.